So when you are in the sauna and it's 210 degrees and you're sweating like a pig, your body temperature is lower?
Your core body temperature is fighting to get lower. And when you get out, your core body temperature continues to go down.
It plummets.
That's right. And the exact opposite happens when you get in the cold plunge. You feel cold on the surface, so your body goes, oh shit. Hypothalamus, again, medial preoptic area, gets a signal from, if you think about how beautiful this mechanism is, I still get goosebumps, and no pun intended, when I think about it. You have receptors on your skin surface that sense cold. Send that to your hypothalamus, which says, it's cold out there. I'm gonna generate heat. How do I generate heat? Well, there are two things you can do. I can make you shiver, which will generate heat, or I can make you move. Shivering is just another form of moving. Or I can activate this very specialized fat tissue, which is not under the skin, it's not subcutaneous fat, but it's around your critical organs, which is the brown fat. Activate the mitochondria there, and basically at that very core level, get electrons moving, and the brown fat in turn activates the thermogenic system and starts heating you up.
Wow.
It's so crazy. And then what's beautiful is that the brown fat has a sort of memory of that experience. So even after you get out, you're walking around right now. I did cold plunge this morning. You did cold plunge this morning, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So your body temperature is about 1 to 3 degrees hotter, probably about 1 or 2 degrees hotter than it normally would be. Dopamine's getting cranked out. And so all day long, you're warmer at, let's say, cool ambient temperature. In fact, in Scandinavia, I learned this in researching the Soberg work. I went in and went deep into this cold thermogenesis world over there that they've been researching this really carefully. And they have a saying in Norway, I obviously don't know it in Norwegian, but it translates to essentially, in the spring, as it's getting warmer in Texas, what you want to do is to put on more layers. Why? So that you can prepare yourself for being able to cool yourself off easily in the summer when it's really hot. You'll be more comfortable in the heat of summer in Texas if you bundle up a bit more in the spring.
Really?
Yeah. Well, you're adapting. And then they say the opposite too.
That sounds annoying.
But then they say in the fall, what you're supposed to do is not walk around with a sweater. You wear a t-shirt, and then guess what? In the winter, you're thermogenically.
How about just fucking wear clothes for the weather? This is ridiculous.
Okay,
Look, I get the whole idea of sauna and cold plunge and adapting your body, but now we're just, I think too much of this is mental masturbation with some people.
Let me be clear. It's the principle.
Yeah.
It's the principle.
I understand
I'm
the
not
science
saying,
behind it.
Yeah, I'm not saying wear a sweatshirt in the spring.
Just wear what's comfortable. Jesus Christ.
What I'm saying is that Jamie's laughing. He's from Ohio. They're just like, this is ridiculous. It's cold enough out there. You don't need to plunge.
I'm from Boston.
Well,
Same thing.
I think the principle is what's interesting, right?
Yes, it is interesting.
If you teach your body to tolerate warm, then you will be more comfortable in very hot. It's sort of obvious.
Yeah.
And vice versa for cold.
Well, I certainly think that there's a great benefit to being able to tolerate temperatures, whether it's cold temperature or warm temperature, because I think there's a mental resiliency aspect to it.
Yeah.
What's interesting to me is when I get out of the cold, my entire body, my skin is bright red. Where your body's trying to heat itself up because you're in there for 3 minutes, or I'm in there for 3 minutes. But when I get out of the sauna, generally I stretch, and my house is warm, right? And at nighttime, I do the sauna in the house. And when I'm stretching, within a minute or 2 minutes after the sauna, I'm fucking freezing because my body's trying to cool off so quickly. Because it's gone through the whole 25-minute session.
Well, the contrast of heat and cold is, we know, very good for our cardiovascular system, because we think of the blood vessels and capillaries and arteries as just tubes, but they're really cells, endothelial cells. They're laid out like silly putty, linking them all like tubes, and they are very contractile. They need to do that because of the pulsing of blood through them. That's the whole basis of systolic and diastolic blood pressure. It's the top measurement. It's a pressure when it's not blood pumping through, and it's pressure when it's relaxed, okay? So the system can become very dynamic. You don't want it rigid. Especially given, what Attia tells us, and I believe him, is that the number one killer in the world is cardiovascular disease or cerebrovascular disease. You want the little microcapillaries of your body to be very flexible, not rigid. So when you go heat cold, you're basically going vasoconstriction, dilation, vasoconstriction.
But I'm not talking about heat cold. I'm just talking about heat and stretching. Just getting out of it, my body cools itself off, and I get really cold within like 5 minutes.
So that could be the drop, which is when your blood goes to the center of your body to preserve your core organs, and then the surface of your body is cold, and then as you start to heat up again, and there's vasodilation, and it goes out to the surface. Your surface is cold, and it actually cools the blood at the surface, and that's what's called the drop. And that's when your body temperature goes down. Now, once you put on clothes and head to your workout or head to work, what's going to happen is your body temperature is now going to increase more quickly. It normally would do that anyway early in the day. As you wake up, your body temperature goes up, 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 up. And then whenever you achieve a sort of a dip in energy in the afternoon, there's probably one time in the afternoon, whether or not you need a nap or not, that you feel a little bit lethargic, and then you kind of come back. That represents the peak in your body temperature for 24 hours. In fact, most people, if they want to figure out their sort of optimal bedtime, I know this gets pretty down in the weeds, you just look at that number. So maybe it's 3 o'clock, and you say about 7 hours after that, plus or minus an hour. That's probably when somebody should go to sleep. How do I know that? Because that's when body temperature starts dropping by about 1 to 3 degrees. So doing cold early in the day makes total sense. Doing deliberate cold exposure before a workout, total sense. Doing sauna before sleep, total sense.